Elementary music teacher friend, you love what you do, but you might feel unappreciated and, in fact, unseen some days. You may even feel like you're on a music teacher island and just want to connect with other music teachers who can relate to both your struggles and wins when it comes to teaching elementary music. I get you and understand completely the feelings you're having. That's why each and every week, the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast will provide you with solo and guest episodes that will help you realize you're not alone in your music teaching journey. Throughout each episode, my goal is for you to be able to walk away with actionable steps and ideas to help you feel like you're ready to take on the new week with whatever challenges may be thrown your way. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Peresta, and I'm so glad you're here. Whether you're at home, in your car, in the shower, or wherever else you're listening, grab your cup of coffee or whatever other beverage is nearby and listen in to the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast.
I'm Mike Brilla, host of the Inspired Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey music teacher friend, I want to let you know about a free guide called 5 Steps to Simplifying Your Lesson Planning. We know as an elementary music teacher how stressful it can be planning lessons every single week for all the grade levels you teach that need to meet the state or national standards, that will reach different learning styles, and that are also fun and engaging for your students. If you've had thoughts like, am I doing this whole lesson planning thing right? Then check out this guide. It will help you with lesson planning with ease. So simply head to subscribe.thedomesticmusician.com/simplifying lesson planning or check out the link in the show notes. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am joined today by Franklin Willis. He came on the podcast all the way back in April 2020, which it's crazy to think about that. We were talking that was the month after COVID, which what in the world? But anyways, so glad to have him back. I consider Franklin a personal friend. We finally got to meet in person in Philly in August. So cool. Yes. So yay. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm so happy to be back on the podcast. And congratulations on all your success since the last time we chatted and all of the wonderful things you've done and the master's degree. Just so excited for your growth and your success. So I'm happy to be here to chat with you again.
Oh my gosh, same. And we're going to be talking about more than a music teacher. And I thought the same thing. We have known each other for a while, and just seeing your success and the path, the journey that your path has taken has just been so cool to watch. It just is, you're just a perfect example of just putting one foot in front of the other. Doors will open, and just consistency is that when people ask for advice about how do you get in the online spirit, I was like, for me, it's just been consistency, continuing to show up even on the days I don't want to. And just, I mean, that for me is the word, I guess, is consistency. Yeah. Do you feel that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Because I can remember, I mean, I guess right when we did our podcast is when I finally took the jump to say, you know what, I'm going to do this online business model of creating curriculum and lessons for teachers. And it was really slow. It was crickets. It was a lot of no's, a lot of rejection, a lot of disappointment. And I just said, I really believe in what I do and what I offer, not only to students, teachers, but to music education as a whole. And I just put my head down and kept trucking. And, a follower here, a teacher inspired there, a resource that really hit home for, a school community. And then word of mouth takes shape and form. It's truly been a journey, and one that has continuous ups and continuous downs. I try to remind myself not to get too low, and then at the same time, not to get too high, because, I mean, as you know, social media is like, you're hot and then you're not. So trying to just find my voice and what I feel comfortable speaking on and things that matter to me has been really the the point of success for me
Mhm.
is just finding my voice. And
Yeah.
if it relates to you and it hits home, wonderful. If it's not your cup of tea, that's great too. But just really truly leaning into who I am as a music teacher, as a musician, and really storytelling is
Mhm.
really what it's been for me. It's kind of like it's a business page, but it's also my personal page. I know
Yeah.
some people have two different pages, and they don't share their lives or beyond just music teaching, which I totally get.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say, man, maybe I'm sharing too much. But I always come back to this, what my newest book is about. My newest children's book is more than a music teacher. It's about what I do outside of the classroom as well, who makes me who I am. Yes, I love teaching music. I love inspiring children. I love working with teachers, but on a Sunday, I want to ride my bike. So this children's book is really focused on the lives of music teachers outside the classroom. And I have 4 teacher models in the book. And people are asking me, is it about specific teachers? It's a combination of many people that I've met, mentors who have impacted me, and just telling their story of how music impacted their lives, but then also how they thrive outside of the classroom. And so I think it's so important that teachers understand that we are not just teaching, right? We're not just teachers, that we bring all of that with us into the classroom, into our experiences, and to how we show up. And I think it's important that students know that too, right? They see
Yeah.
us at the schoolhouse, and they see us when they get there, they see us when we leave. But what about all this other time where we're not at the schoolhouse?
Right.
And so it was a fun project to work on this year. It's one of those things that I'm just happy that it's out. Now, the marketing piece of it, I still have to, do my due diligence there. But this November has just been about being grateful, and just like being happy.
Hmm.
Of course, we always want more. We want to sell more. We want it to be more visible.
Yeah.
But I'm just really leaning into, like, man, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
Be grateful and happy with what you've done, leaning into that. Like, I don't know the last time there was a Black man. So that told me everything, like all of this energy that I was feeling was like, well, there it is. The parents, they've never had a Black man teaching their child. They've never had a student, never had a Black man as a teacher. In the midst of me understanding and breaking through all of that, this is an opportunity for both of us to learn, right? This is an opportunity for you to see that what the notion or the stereotype that you may have had about Black men are not true. Welcome to my world and to my perspective. And then I'm giving you an opportunity to connect with me and learn from me, so that in the future, when you see another Black man, when you have another Black teacher, you're able to make some connections and you're able to understand the different perspectives. So for me, it became very evident that that's what where I could really step in and lean into and shine the most, because students could say, you know what? One thing about Mr. Willis is he's going to be real with us. He's going to tell us the truth, and we're going to know exactly where he stands. For me, it ended up being like really great. And students were able to have tough conversations. We're able to have those sensitive conversations where we can share, things that we might not share outside the classroom. But because we built that safe space together, that allowed for us to think, to dream, to create in sync with each other.
So, what would you say to a teacher who is wanting to let their students know them better or know about them better? And they're either the pushback is, I don't have enough time in my classroom. I have to fit so much in during a class period. So I don't have enough time to share about my story and who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Or like you've already mentioned, they're afraid of not being strict enough, or, having enough rules and being like, viewed as a air quote friend. What would you give advice? I know you've probably been asked this before too. It's like, well, how do I do it? So what do you say to that?
So an easy place to start is just with like your hobbies, or even a favorite song that you're listening to right now. hey class, before we get started, I want to check in with y'all. Can you tell me a song that you've been listening to lately that makes you feel good? Raise your hand if you have a song. And then they share that song, and then you say, you know what? Here's my song. Have you heard this song before? And maybe it's a song that you can play for kids, and you play it at the end of the class session and say, you know that song I told y'all at the beginning of the class? Here's what it sounds like. Can you move your body to the steady beat? Could you come up with some movement to go with this song? And then next week, I'll choose one of your songs. So it's as simple as that for me, for building authenticity and sharing your passion or sharing about you to your students. Also, favorite colors, right? Favorite food that you like to eat. What's your favorite holiday, maybe? All of these things, they're easy to implement by just telling your students. I'm not asking you to have a therapy session with your kids, right? There's a therapist for that. But I am saying, introduce them to who you are. What makes you go? What keeps you excited? Why are you a music teacher? Right? Some of the most important conversations was when I told my choir kids in almost tears, and I probably did cry, but I'm just going to say I didn't, was why I signed up to be a music teacher, right? Because I had music teachers that impacted me in such strong ways that I knew that this is what was the calling for my life and the purpose of my life. And so when we're singing songs, it's not just the notes on the page.
Right.
I'm singing a song that is an experience that has led me to where I am right now working with you. It's a dream come true. And so when you sing, you let me know, you affirm that my dream was not in vain. So when I hear you all sing together, that's what that means to me. So when my students heard that, it's like, what? By me just singing is making your dream come true? It's way more than music. And so that is the piece that I think if we communicate with our students, and it happens sometimes in the spur of the moment. It might not even be planned, but it's also being free with yourself and free to understand the moment. And when you understand those moments, it connects back to your teaching, and everything is just a full cycle. It's a full circle. And that's where I began to operate later on in my career, like year 10 and year 11, was because I understood that, okay, I'm taking 10 minutes to talk about favorite TV shows and what you're listening to. So I took 10 minutes out of that lesson. They maybe didn't get the concept, but we're walking away knowing each other. We're walking away feeling good as a community. So forget that 10 minutes of the concept, right? Forget the standards and the objectives.
Absolutely.
Because that moment needed to happen. And so now I can tie that back into my standards and objective in the next lesson.
And this is something they don't teach you in college.
No.
It is like write a 10-page lesson plan and classroom management and objective standards, concepts, blah, 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 which all that's important, 100%.
Absolutely.
But
Sure.
it was one of those things for me too, where I learned as I went, and I realized the importance of getting to know my students and the importance of not filling up every single minute and leaving open space in the lessons to have those natural conversations that will arise. And so I tell teachers too, leave like if you have 45 minutes, plan 40 of it, plan 38 of it, leave intentional open time. And you won't always have conversations that come up, but most of the time you do. But if not, have like some filler activities in your back pocket to, put there. But yeah, I think it's important to leave some open space because kids are going to naturally ask you questions, or my favorite is like the littles. Kinder First will sing a song or, do a speech piece, and then they have a story about, let's say it's about some kind of food. All of a sudden, everybody wants to tell you what they had for dinner, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't have this planned today. I didn't have time for this. That kind of stuff will happen. And so you want to let them feel heard and valued. And so I love that you said that. And just them, you giving them the time to do that with you, it's going to help your teaching go further than you ever realized or imagined it could go, because your students, like you said, connect with you, and they're going to want to learn in your classroom and keep learning from you because they know that you value what they have to say. So these are things, and I hope it's changed a little bit now. Maybe you can, you're in the college setting and helping undergrads, but I know my college experience, this is something they didn't really touch on. And I'm like, why did you not get into this more? It drove me crazy. So
one thing I have learned being in the college realm for 2 years now is, and I have reached out to my professors and apologized because there is not enough time to cover all of the things that they need to get. So you have to decide as a professor, once again, as a teacher, what is something that you truly want them to leave with and to understand, right? And so, in elementary music, of course, you got your recorder, you got your movement, but you can't do any of that if you don't have any structure.
Right.
And you don't have any classroom management. So I can share all these fun activities with y'all every week, but if we don't talk about how to set the environment and begin to make community, if we don't talk about what that looks like, what that sounds like, how do students enter your room on day one when you got 45 kids being dropped off at you and you're only supposed to have 20, but the other teacher didn't show up. So what are you going to do?
Yes.
So I've been able to kind of create a curriculum where we give them a little of what they need, but then also giving them the fun stuff and the things that they may want. But I've totally have had so much I apologize, just a humble, because it's so much. You have 15 weeks to fill all this in, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so what I tell them is this is the first step of becoming a music educator. This is your journey. Don't let your learning stop here. And even our veteran teachers, don't let your learning stop, because you've been teaching for 12 years or 13 or 20 years. It's a continuous journey. And it's always something that we can add to our toolbox to become better for our young people.
Yeah. We've touched on so much today. So is there anything that you want to share that maybe we haven't covered about helping a music educator be more than a music teacher?
I just want to tell music teachers to lean into your creativity and the things that really, really make you feel warm, that make you smile, that may not even have anything to do with music, right? Or maybe it has everything to do with music. Many of us had to have an instrument to get this degree, and we leave that instrument behind to pursue the teaching of music. And so I encourage you to pick up that instrument, even if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and just find what lights your fire, what ignites your passion outside of the classroom, because then that will give you the energy to kind of come back and say, you know what, this is why I signed up to do this. And so it hopefully leads you back to your why, and you continue to pour into young people, pour into teachers and your colleagues. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. Let everybody know where they can connect with you after the episode.
All right, everybody. I'm Franklin Willis. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at FWillisMusic. My website is www.fwillismusic.com. And I'll be posting updates there. You can find information about what I'm doing, where I'm at, and what's going on in my world.
Yay. Okay. So we will include all that in the show notes. Thank you so much, friend, for coming back on the podcast. I've loved this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Well, hey there. Thank you so much for listening into the Elementary Music Teacher podcast. There is an exclusive Facebook group just for listeners of this podcast and any elementary music teacher called the Elementary Music Teacher Community Facebook group. Come on over and join us there, where we have conversations around the podcast episodes and encourage each other each and every week. And also head to my website, thedomesticmusician.com. I have some free resources there that you can download to help you gain traction in your classroom today, as well as the blog and the membership site and all kinds of other goodies to help you keep going in your music teaching journey. I cannot wait to keep connecting with you and encouraging you and spurring you on in your journey of teaching elementary music. Hang in there, have an amazing week, and I will see you soon.